Welcome back. This week's video is all about clearing out what's left in the engine bay. Let's hop to it. Now, I'm not going to lie to you all, since I pulled that out, it's nearly a week because old Captain Sawback here hurt his back again, didn't he? But I'm on the mend now, so it's back to work. So I want to get all out, all the, I want to get that bloody thing off, that won't move. Transducer out, probably booster and master out. Fiddly foddly hoses and maybe some wiring. Fully remove the fuse box. That's only attached by that one long orange wire there, so I've got to find where that goes. Get rid of that amp wire, that looks stupid. Give it a good degrease, and we see how we go after that before, and then hopefully by the time I've got that cleaned up, I can test fit that. The motor, not the dog. Let's get to it, eh? So, not much more has been done today. I did get the speed transducer out, and that was hard, of course. It's a nut and bolt. You turn the nut on the front, and of course the bolt on the back spins. And being on the strut tower there, where do you think those bolts are? Yep, right behind the coil spring, so you can't get a socket or anything on there. You have to use really long extension and the wobbly bit on the end to be able to get that off. And then of course once that's off, you can't get the cable out because it lives right between the steering column and that little bracket there, and it doesn't allow you to fit the backing nut through it, and there's no way you're going to get the drive end through. So what I ended up doing was just opening up the clamp and the black cable bit, pushing up behind that U-joint there, and if you go behind there, it's got enough room to get that nut out. So that's what I did on that. And hunching over like that is not good for me, so I'm going to call it a night on that, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow. I did try on that stupid fitting there and I cannot get it unloose. I used that one to say please come off, and then I went to the big boy and he still won't come off, so it's just stripping the copper nut on the other side. So I don't know what I'm planning to do there, but I'll get there eventually. Right, see you soon. I've been vigorously working away in the engine bay. Got a whole heap of vacuum lines out that went to the speed transducer. I'm working on the main wiring loom for the motor, which has stumped me for a bit, but we also got the loom that goes out of here, which has the battery terminals, alternator, all that on it, so that's gone. I've got the whole motor, the engine loom hanging down here, and trying to work out how I get it through that big rubber grommet, because that doesn't want to come out. But once that's out, it's ready to put or transplant that wiring harness in. Got the computer out. I've also got the computer out of the Stato. Unfortunately they don't plug and play, but that's okay. That's on the floor there. We'll keep all this wiring, headlight wiring down here. whatever that little bit up there is. I don't know what that is. Yeah, it's getting there. Still haven't worked out how to get that huge orange wire out of that loom, but we'll get there eventually. We'll keep on keeping on. Update time. I did manage to get, there's a big long power steering pipe there. I got that out. Got the fuse box off. That's over there on the motor somewhere. And I managed to get the engine wiring harness out. So computer there, wiring harness there. Now to get that out, there's a massive big round son of a gun grommet there. If you push that back into the firewall, and then the wiring, the engine harness goes through this one here. If you just, once it's pushed back, you can peel it out of that and then pull that harness out. Although it does have one loom there, which goes on there. I haven't worked out what that is yet, but all in good time. So I'm going to continue to pull some stuff. I would really like to get this off. It's really bugging me. And then I think pretty much everything on this side, and then I can go to that side, master booster. Probably leave those lines there. That's pretty much it, I reckon. Could probably leave the old wiper motor in there. And then we're laughing. Time for another update. As you can see there, I've got the master off the booster, but can't get the booster out. Still can't get that hose off. I have had to refer to the service manual regarding getting the brake rod off the brake pedal, and this little guy here is holding me up now. I can't get that clip off. I have to get inside here and contort myself under the dash and try and weasel that off. And then I've been reading lots of comments that once you get that off, the pin is usually stuck. So looking forward to that. What else have I done? Not bloody much. Like, I've probably done, 2 hours of work the last couple of nights and haven't really achieved anything. So, time to get under the dash and try and get that clip off. It's just lucky that I got no seats in the car and there's a bit more room than if the full interior is in. Hopefully I get back to you with some good news. Finally, some success. I got the booster out. As you can see, the master cylinder is still there. Now, I don't believe that I need to do any upgrade to the brakes on this because as a factory Calais, it has 4-wheel discs. So yes, it has discs on the rear, which will be adequate for the V8 swap. And the master for that and that are very similar, minus the ABS, which is not going on. So that's what's happening with that. That's that funny little spring, which was a pain in the bum to get out. But what you really need to do when you're pulling this out is get this over that pin there and it'll come off. Save your washer too, because you don't want to lose that. But the hardest thing after that is the pin that goes through the brake rod here on the pedal does not come out. It's pressed into the pedal, so don't try and hit that out. What you've got to do if it's not too rusty, like this had a bit of movement, so it wasn't too bad, you've got to shimmy, like there's a bit of sideways movement in the rod. So you want to lever it to the side that obviously it comes off on. And then it'll almost come off, but it'll be still stuck on there. And then if you look at this picture here, at the pivot point on the brake pedal is a big spring like this. If you yank the pedal away from the side you're trying to get the rod off, it'll give you enough room to slide that off the end of that pin there. And then you can just pull this through from the firewall side. Now, there is 2 bolts that holds this bracket on and the pedal assembly, but that can stay there. I don't want to take the whole pedal and everything out. I'll work around that because the only reason that booster's coming out is for a cleanup and to do the engine bay. It's not for upgrading brakes or any of that. It's just for cleanup. Because if you look at this booster here, you know, it's lost a bit of paint. It could do with a freshen up. So that's what I'll do with that, just a coat of paint. Not too worried about that bracket. I can even give that a paint. Probably going to leave the master and leave it connected up, because why bleed brakes if you don't have to? So if I just cover that when it's paint time, it's only going to have maybe, I could even, you know, unclip those lines there and it might even move out of the way a bit more. But other than that, I still got to try and get that big hose off, which I need to come up with a plan for. Other than that, get rid of those tranny lines that I had to cut. Other than that, it's pretty much done. So if you want to get your booster out, well, that's how I did it anyway. Let's get these last couple of bits off. And I'm going to bag and tag all the nuts and bolts for this so I don't lose them. Oh, and one last thing. If you're going to get under the dash, make sure you wear some eye protection, because the dirt that falls down on your face and in your eyes is unbelievable. Now, I've got stuff in my eyes from yesterday and it's been annoying me all day. So this time I had safety glasses on and I still got dirt in my eyes. So get your specs on, guys. Okay, update time again. I've got the 2 tranny lines out. I took out the power steering lines from the power steering box. Still unsure on which way to go on that, whether I get the steering out of here, put it in here. The only issue with that is I need a VL intermediate shaft and having trouble locating one of them. So I think we'll jam the engine in here, see how close it is. If it's too tight, then we'll swap it over and see what we can do with the intermediate shaft. I'm going to focus on this damn air conditioning hose now. I think I'm down to my second last resort, which is heat. So I'm going to heat that sucker up and hopefully it'll break it loose. If not, we may have to cut. All right, wish me luck. Okay, that hose is off finally. I had to resort to cutting it as heat only just caught fire to the rubber grommet behind it and I didn't want to burn the wiring, so I had to abort that. So what I ended up doing was cutting the nut enough so that I could just unthread it with a little bit on it, and the threads on that were rusty. That's why that thing wouldn't come off. I did nick it a little bit, but whether it's savable or not is probably another thing. So we'll probably have to replace that. But I'll worry about that when the time comes. So that's almost everything out of here now. Could probably do that vacuum hose. Something to do with the speedo, I think. Lines I got left, I know one's fuel in, fuel return, and I'm pretty sure the other one's a vent tube. I think it's ready to slot the motor in and see how it fits. But that will be in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you when we drop the motor in. Ciao, ciao.